The energy crisis pushes nuclear power worldwide. It's a comeback worldwide. As the cost of importing energy soars worldwide and climate crisis wreaks havoc, interest in nuclear power is on the rise with nations scrambling to find alternative sources. Investment in nuclear power declined after Japan's 2011 Fukushima disaster, the world's worst nuclear accident since Chernobyl in 1986, as fears over its safety increased and governments ran scared. But following Moscow's Ukraine conflict, the squeeze on energy supplies and Europe's push to wean itself off Russian oil and gas, the tide is now turning back in favor of nuclear. Governments face difficult decisions with raising gas and electricity bills and scarce resources threatening to cause widespread suffering this winter. Some experts argue that nuclear power should not be considered an option, but others agree that in the face of so many crises, it must remain part of the world's energy mix. Of course, it's not green because if anything goes wrong, God forbid. Now, one of the countries reconsidering nuclear energy is Japan, where the 2011 accident led to the suspension of many nuclear reactors over safety fears. This week, Japan's Prime Minister Fumio Kishida called for a push to revive the country's nuclear power industry and build new atomic plants. Other countries that were looking to move away from nuclear have discarded those plans, at least in the short term. Less than a month after Russia and Ukraine, Belgium delayed by a decade its plan to scrap nuclear energy in 2025. While nuclear power, currently used in 32 countries, supplies 10% of the world's electricity production, the International Atomic Energy Agency, IAEA, raised its projections in September for the first time since the 2011 disaster. The IAEA now expects installed capacity to double by 2050 under the most favorable scenario. Climate reasoning. Even in Germany, Europe's biggest economy, sticking with nuclear is no longer a taboo subject as the energy crisis rekindles debate on shutting down the country's last 3 nuclear power plants by the end of this year. Berlin said last month it would await the outcome of a stress test of the national electric grid before deciding whether to stick with the phase-out. Greenpeace Germany's climate and energy expert Gerald Neubauer said turning to nuclear was not a solution to the energy crisis. He said nuclear energy would have limited efficacy in replacing Russian gas since it is mainly used for heating in Germany, not for electricity production. He said the reactors would only save the gas used for electricity. It would save less than 1% of the gas consumption. But according to Nicholas Bergmans, energy and climate expert at IDDRI think tank, extended the use of nuclear can help, he said. Europe is in a very different energy situation with several overlapping crises. The Russian gas supply, the drought that has reduced capacity of dams, the French nuclear plant's weak output. So all the levels matters, he said. The pro-nuclear lobby says it's one of the world's best options to avoid climate change since it does not directly emit carbon dioxide. In fact, nuclear energy accounts for a bigger share of the world's power mix in most of the scenarios put forth by the IPCC, the UN's climate experts, to alleviate the global climate crisis. But there are divided opinions. As the need for the electricity booms, several countries have expressed a desire to develop nuclear infrastructure, including China, which already has the largest number of reactors, as well as the Czech Republic, India, and Poland, since nuclear offers an alternative to coal. Likewise, Britain, France, and the Netherlands have similar ambitions, and even the United States, where President Joe Biden's investment plans encourages the sector's development. The IPCC experts recognize that the deployment of nuclear energy can be constrained by societal preferences, since the subject still divides opinion because of the risk of catastrophic accidents and the still unresolved issue of how to dispose of radioactive waste safely. Some countries like New Zealand oppose nuclear, and the issue has also been hotly debated in the European Union over whether it should be listed as green energy. Last month, the European Parliament approved a contentious proposal giving a substantial finance label to investments in gas and nuclear power. Other issues remain over nuclear infrastructure, including the ability to build new reactors with costs and delays tightly controlled. Bergman's pointed to long construction delays, saying, "We're talking about medium-term solutions which will not resolve tensions in the market, as they will arrive too late to address climate crises," he said, but suggested focusing on the dynamic renewable energy sector that can be immediately helpful. This is by Associated France Press on Tech Explorer. Please leave your comments. Thank you for your support. Kindly support my Patreon account. The daily posts are 5 videos daily, and they are totally different from what I have on my YouTube channel. Thank you so much for your support and that you find all my content so interesting. You'll find the Patreon account details in the description box below.